You know, I think when I came out of my mother's womb, I was kind of paranormal because, you know, as a kid, I used to have out-of-body experiences, visitations from angels. I could see colors, I would hear messages, all those things. And, you know, as a kid, you actually assume that it's true of other kids as well, right? And then I learned later on that wasn't the case. So I actually love the fact that you are really kind of out there and you're sharing these experiences and you're talking about these things and you're inviting people to tell their stories. So let's start there. Let's start with your podcast, because that would be really great, I think, to let viewers know where they can find you, what it's all about, and all of those good things.
Well, my podcast, of course, is on Apple and Spotify and wherever you listen to podcasts. So that's the good thing. It's even on Audible. If you're a book reader, you can actually listen to it on Audible and on Alexa, all the things. But what started my adventure in podcasting is I've always listened to internet radio in the way of Hay House Radio before podcasts got really big, right? Or I think even before podcasts. And so I used to listen to Louise Hay and Abraham Hicks and all the people that and I loved all that stuff because it was interesting to me. And I have an open box about that kind of stuff. And I've always been interested in the paranormal, supernatural, all of that stuff. So when podcasts started getting really popular, I started listening to a ton of different podcasts, one of which was Hillbilly Horror Stories. And I love history too, big history buff. And they talked about a lot of historic ghost stories. And I love that. So that's one of the reasons I still kind of watch Kindred Spirits and stuff on TV, because they go into the history of where it is. I love that almost more than the hauntings sometimes. And so Jerry and Tracy Polly are the hosts, and they asked me to, or they asked listeners to give some of their accounts of something paranormal. And I had something that kind of happened to me, nothing crazy. It wasn't really that big a deal, but I just liked them so much, I submitted my little 3-minute story. Well, they had me on, and Jerry, Tracy and I hit it off so well that they were like, we want you to come and do a Fear of the Week, because name play on my last name. My last name is real. It's actually Fear. That's my husband's last name. And so I started doing Fear of the Week every Thursday for about 10 to 15 minutes. I'd come in and talk about, hey, how long does it take for you to die after your head's chopped off? That kind of stuff. You know, the fun stuff nobody really wants to talk about, but I do. So, I just talked about, the bugs that are on your face that you don't realize that are always on your face, and they're really good for your skin, all the kinds of things. So, but I was still also writing my paranormal romance novels. I was still in the throes of trying to finish my latest one that I released last January of 2022. But I was getting kind of burnt out on writing. And when he said, you need to be podcasting. And I was like, what? No, I'm not. No. And he wore me down after phone call, sent me a mic, the same mic that I'm using today. And I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll try it. I don't know what we should do. I just want to know how things work. And I love that thing. I love that thought. And I just want to know. And he goes, well, what about just want to know? And I was like, oh, I like that. But there was somebody that already had that. And I said, it's just because I want to know. What is the problem? And then that's what started the because I want to know part. So I started talking to people who have very unique occupations or life experiences. Very unique occupations to me are maybe a mortician, or a man who preps people for prison, or people who leave cults, or people who leave high demand religions. There's a little true crime in that too. But I also talk to people who have had very unique experiences, like near-death experiencers, psychic mediums, tarot readers, astrology, those kinds of things, to where they have very unique lives because they talk to all these really cool people and they get all this information to me from the other, in my mind, from the other side.
Hi there. Excuse the intrusion, but I just wanted to take a moment and personally thank you for watching this episode. It really means a lot. And I would really love it if you would leave a comment, even if it's just an emoji. That then lets YouTube and the algorithm know that what I'm sharing has value. And if you haven't already done so, I would really love it if you would subscribe. So thank you so much. And let's get back to this episode.
And so I've got a whole new podcast with all these amazing people I talk to that I never would have talked to before. And I've learned so much because I vet these people out. Like, I'm on TikTok way too much. I'm not going to lie. And a lot of these people, there's some amazing people on TikTok spreading amazing, amazing messages about we don't have to be afraid to die. I don't want to die anytime soon. We talked about this before we started recording, but I'm not afraid of it either, because I know that this is not, we're here physically in this meat suit, but this is not reality. Our reality is up there with God, source, whatever you want to call it. We're just here literally learning and going through karma or whatever we're doing so that we can better ourselves and honestly send him more information on, hey, that's how Leslie saw this situation. This is how she took care of everything, or this is how she didn't take care of it, or whatever the case may be, right? This is how Julie saw it. This is how Julie, figured it out. And so it's almost like he's this big computer in the sky, and we're like these little people, or these little small USB ports.
Yes. Yeah, I love that, because the thing is you only need to have one person in your life, or two or three, but it doesn't need to be a huge amount of people that you feel supported by and you feel seen by, and there's a resonance, and you feel like you're part of a community, especially when it comes to the woo-woo stuff, because it can be a bit kind of alienating if you're the only one having spirit. I certainly felt like that as a kid, because I didn't know anybody that would have out-of-body experiences and meet angels and great beings and loved ones who'd passed away. My grandfather came to tell me he was dying when he died.
And see, I need to have my podcast too, because you have all these, I wasn't born with all these gifts. I think everybody has them to a certain extent, but when you have them coming into it and being confused or whatever, but still telling me all the experiences you had, we got to talk. Yeah. And I, as hard as you made it on me, I'll just call you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but these, and I think especially now, we need to be able to connect with a reality that's bigger than the narratives we hear online or on the television, or, whatever the stories are that can be very depleting. We need to connect into mystery or source, or whatever you want to call that. And especially your intuition too. I'm big on sort of helping and supporting people to connect in with what feels right for them, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's funny because when I think some of the most interesting people I talk to, well, every single time, are the near-death experiencers, because they all have completely different experiences, but they all come back with two core things. They didn't want to come back, and the other side is more real than here.
Yes, that's how it is in lucid dreams as well. And I've said a few times lately, because I've been part of some groups and I've shared and talked about the things that happened to me, but I've said many times, in lucid dreams it's more real than this supposed reality, number one. And secondly, I had a really, really radical spiritual awakening in 1989, which I've talked about extensively, but the effects of that are very similar to what near-death experiences talk about.
Wow.
Except they passed over and come back. With me, I went into this, it was via a lucid dream, and I went into this kind of other reality, and then came back to the body, woke up, and then I've spent years trying to assimilate what happened. And so there's a lot of similarities between near-death experiences and people that have a really authentic, radical spiritual awakening.
Absolutely. And that's what I mean. I need to talk to you because I want to hear all about it.
Yeah.
Every part of it, I haven't heard the story, so I want to hear it. And my listeners would probably love to hear it. But yeah, most of the people, and I didn't know if I wanted to go here, but this may help people if they're questioning certain things. A lot of people, one specific woman who was a staunch Catholic, and you've heard her, Kathy McDaniel, you heard her, I'm sure,
yes.
He went, and she was a devout Catholic, and when she passed away, or she left her body for a little while, she had a near death. She wasn't quite, well, she was dead, but she wasn't. You guys understand that. She, in her mind, went to hell because that's what she was taught. you go to purgatory or hell because you say your Hail Marys, you do whatever you do. It's kind of ritualistic in my mind, in my opinion. But when was there and she was experiencing all these things, and she had also just lost a very dear friend. And when this very dear friend showed up after she felt like it was years in some kind of hell, he shows up because she starts singing a Christmas song because she just is so distraught and upset. And she goes, it was the only thing that I could think of that would bring me joy. And when I started just raising my vibration and feeling that love of just loving the song, I saw my friend who died, and he says, now, do you understand that this is just an illusion? This is just something you were taught and you've been indoctrinated. And I'm not saying every religion does that. I'm not saying anything about necessarily bad about that. I'm just saying there's more to just what that part of this whole human experience is. And if you can get past that and just open your mind and go, you know what? God doesn't have anything to do with religion at all. It has nothing to do with religion.
No.
And
No,
and I, a lot of people are like, well, how can you say that? And he just does it. I don't care what you do in this life. I don't care if you're Dahmer. I don't care if you're Mother Teresa. We all go back to source. We may be on different levels, and we all have to heal and learn and go back and have some things done to us. I think that we do to others, the whole thing. There's the karma going on. I don't know how it all works exactly. I just know that no matter what, this is a play. And someone said it beautifully to me the other day when I was interviewing him. He said, you know how like when you're watching a play and there's a good guy and there's a villain. And at the end of the play, everybody stands at the stage and they hold hands and they bow and you're all clapping for everybody because it was amazing, right? But when the bad guy comes out and he's the last guy that comes out, you don't boo him. You're praising him too because he was fantastic. So we all, that balance here, we all need the good and the bad, obviously to learn, but also for other people to, even if you don't think your life is significant, there's a ripple effect of all of this stuff. And it's just so fascinating to me. It's so convoluted though. It's so, there's so much to it that I'll never obviously get all the answers, but I certainly can try to help others and spread awareness that we are all just one collective. We just are, learn from each other. So.
Yeah, and I love that. My story is similar. I was raised as a Catholic. I can't say I was a staunch Catholic. I must have, but I was raised as a Catholic, and I was indoctrinated, or there was an attempt, and coming from a well-meaning place, obviously from the priests and the nuns, right? But I was taught that there's purgatory, there's limbo, which used to scare the heck out of me, much more than anywhere else, because it was described as being grey and you can't see anything or feel anything. So that terrified me. But, I would have to sit and listen to all of that. And the whole time from the earliest years that I never remember, I was having these exquisite experiences with angels and with Jesus and with Mother Mary and, these great beings, and all it was love. So I would sit there and hear these accounts coming from, my teachers who seemingly had a relationship with Jesus and the great beings, and they knew what was going on. And I used to think, but that's not my experience. It wasn't my experience, and it never has been. Yeah. And I learned to keep quiet about it, but it put me off enough that when I went to high school at the age of 14 or 15 or whatever it was, that when I moved from middle school, I never went back to church. I just decided I had to find Jesus in my own way and my path in my own way. And then it was later I had a radical spiritual awakening. But everything that's been shared on your show and everything you've just said has been my direct experience. It's all about love. It's about learning as well, learning from our mistakes, learning from one another, and having as much compassion as we can with others who are struggling.
Yeah, I mean, I love God. I love Jesus. I also don't know if we should ever worship humans. I don't think Jesus wanted to be worshipped. I think he just wanted to spread awareness about how lovely we all should treat each other, and we should, no matter who you are, what color your skin is, what you believe, what hat you wear, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're all children of God. We're all fragments of God, See, I lost an aunt in the cult, the Heaven's Gate cult. And that's what made me realize that I'm not saying religion is necessarily cult, but there are cults out there that can really manipulate you and really harm you and your family and do nothing but bad things for you. And I think that's why I'm very vigilant about, guys, you can relax. I promise you, you're going to go to God. I promise you're going to see God and you're going to see source and whatever you want to call him. And you have no reason to. You're going to see everyone you ever loved. You're going to see every pet you've ever had. You're going to see every single thing that you loved in life, whether it's art, music, whatever it is, that will be part of you. And I just want people to know that. I recently forgave my dad for the horrible things he did to all of us kids. And what somebody said to me, because I was like, you don't know what he did to me. I can't forgive him. And he's, he'll win. And one of my friends said, well, he's already winning if he's not letting you live. So I was like, oh, yeah, okay, that's true. I can actually talk to my mom on the other side now after practice and doing this podcast, talking to psychic mediums and them saying, just talk to her. Don't overthink it. Just do it. From that point on, we've been talking and I'm like, what's it like? And tell me everything. And she said that I asked her, my dad passed away and they had been divorced years before that. And I said, well, do you ever see him? She goes, well, he's not where I am. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, what, where is he? And she said, he's just not on the frequency I'm on. She goes, if I wanted to go see him, I could. We have free will up here too. And so I was like, okay. When I finally just completely let go and forgave my dad for all the crap he did, and just freed myself, I thought, I'm just going to tell him. I'm going to say, I forgive you. And if you're there and I hear, I'm here. That's what I heard. And I was like, oh, crap. And I said, okay, well, yeah, SOB. I'm done with you, and all that. And I'm not even going to call you that anymore. I'm just going to be nice. I just say love and light. And I said, well, do you mind if I ask, where are you? And he said, I'm with source. He goes, but I'm not where you would ever want to be. And I was like, well, okay, what's that mean? And he said, where I am, it's like solitary confinement. And I have to work on myself before I can do anything to get out of here. And he goes, and the fact that you came to me will only help me get out of here. Oh. See, and he said that the love of source, God, whatever you want to call it, surrounds him.
Wow.
Surrounds him always. But that I came to him and said, I did. And then finally, when he said that, I said, well, then, okay, if that's the case, I need you to do something for me. Go back to that little girl that you should have treated like a little girl. Go back and hug her. Go back and tell her how much you love her and show the protection that I didn't get when I was a little girl. And he said, okay, I will do that for you. He just passed away like 3 years ago, so it hadn't been very long. And he said, this will help me get out. This will help me get out. And finally, because I was very sick. I was mentally very sick. And I said, okay. Well, and I was telling my psychic friends the same thing. And I said, I don't know if I was, because you think, am I making this crap up in my mind? It's how? And they're like, both of them, Christina Kern and Crystal Miles, they're my good friends. They said that's the most beautiful thing they've ever heard. And that absolutely sounds exactly like what would happen from what they've experienced and the things that they know, just talking to other people. That kind of, it's just, I was like, wow, okay. Maybe I can help him after him, giving people grace who are so in your mind evil to you and your family. It's freeing for yourself, but you might be able to help someone else in a whole different way than you ever thought. Do you want to help them now? No, you're mad. You're pissed. You don't want to help them. No, I never want to see them again. I never want to go there again. I get it. Trust me. But man, it's either going to eat you away and you're never going to get that. And you may have to come back and still work on that karma because you didn't quite get through it here. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you work through it and you helped them.
But everything that you share via your podcast really helps. I think it really helps support people get clear about what is important to them. You know, the touchstone, there's a strength that comes from everyone you interview, because there's always something that they're sharing that we can utilize in our own lives in a good way to create positive effect. It's fantastic.
Thank you. I love talking to, and so many different kinds of people. Like I talk to people about aliens. I talk to people that are researchers. I talk to people that, you know, there's a man that was in prison, and federal prison, on drug charges because he used to sell drugs, and he got out, and now he preps people for prison, and has a whole new understanding on how horrible it was to be in there, and grace for the people that have to go, you know, and, you know, or like a mortician and how she handles things, and what happens when you die, your physical body, and all of those things. There's just so many people that I talk to that, regardless if it's something you would want to hear about, there's so many different people that, trust me, there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
So, and I don't get paid for this for free. I mean, I've been approached to monetize this, and I don't want it to become a full-time job. So my husband and I retired. We're in our 50s, and we're not that old, but we were able to do that. And now I can do this for fun. You know, I've always been a stay-at-home mom, so I never really worked until I had a baby. But he retired. So, you know, we want to go to the weekend place. We want to have the freedom, although he is working a little part-time job here and there. And he doesn't believe in any of this.
Yes. Isn't that amazing?
Well, he believes in me, and he is so proud of me that I love what I do. And I think I think I changed his mind a little bit on some things, but I love it because it grounds me. You know, it's very easy to get a little caught up in this stuff.
Yes.
But I still do the same old things everybody else does. You know, I take care of my granddaughter. We go to the pool with the kids. You know, we do all the things that we have, Christmas, you know, traditions and Thanksgiving traditions. But I guess the reason I really wanted to do this podcast over everything else was because I wasn't hearing specific things that I'm talking about on any other podcast consistently. I mean, there are people who talk about near death, but I guess the variety of what I do is just as important to me, you know, as the content. So
yes.
Yeah.
And you're an author too. I mean, you've written paranormal romance books, right? I think I saw the 4 or 5 or 6 of those you've done.
Yeah. I have 5. Well, I have 7 available actually on Amazon. 2 with a co-author. I've written 9 books. There are several with other publishers that I can't just put on Amazon myself. They're with them. Mm-hmm. So there are 5 that I've written myself that are available on Amazon. I don't get a lot of money for them. You know, I just put them on there. I don't care. They're all bestsellers, so that's good. And they're little paranormal romance novels. And I just started writing. This is before I started the podcast. I was an English minor. I had a voice scholarship in college. I used to sing. And I've always loved English, and I love writing, and I did it in high school and college and tested it out on my friends. And I used to have a blog, and I write reviews of books, and I was reading all these things. And I've always had a penchant for paranormal, especially with some romance in it. You know, got to have the dark guy, the handsome guy with the damsel in distress, and there's dark romance, you know. And I started writing about 2012, and with my co-author. And then in 2013, I started my first book by myself, which is Atticus.
Yeah, that's a great cover.
Isn't it good? Thank you. Yes, this was my first solo. Did very well. And then I am one of those things. There's something called I'm a pantser. What's it called? What's the other one called?
I forget now.
I can't think of it. Well, what a pantser is there's people that really books like big time. They outline them. They got every single little thing that's gonna happen, and I don't know what's gonna happen.
Me neither.
And you know, that's my thing. It's even on the back of my my books, my synopsis books, the synopsis on the books. I don't give away a whole lot. It's like when I turn on when I turn on Netflix, I don't want to see the preview. You're giving it away. Now I don't want to see the movie. Don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I read. Like if I read a book that obviously isn't mine, and I know what's going to happen in the first few chapters, and I can probably dictate the entire book, but I don't read it. I'm not interested. So that's one reason why I write in first person present tense, meaning you find out when she finds out.
Yes.
So somebody dies, I just found that out too. So there you go. You know? And I started writing my first solo book. That was my first book, but my first series book was Graveyard Watchman. I started this particular book on Wattpad. You've heard of Wattpad?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The reader-writer app where authors just some people get paid to put their stuff up. I didn't. I just wanted to keep practice. So every day I challenged myself, 500 words every morning, 500 words. I wrote this entire book on Wattpad. They featured it. It's got almost 1 million views.
Wow.
And I know, I was like, wow. And they featured it too. That helped. And so once I wrote this and everybody wanted the sequel, then I wrote the next two. I wrote this next one and then the third book. So there's 3 books in these. So this is just Graveyard Watchman. This is Graveyard Watchman, The Demon Wars, and this is Graveyard Watchman, Gemini. So
wow.
That's that. And that's about angels and demons. And because I just love that kind of thing. And then my last book is Apollo Sun. I love the cover of this one too.
Yes, that's beautiful.
It's about, and they're all different. They're all paranormal romances, but they're all a little bit different. I can't write the same thing every time. So this one is based on mythology. It's based on Asclepius, who was a demigod and the son of Apollo. So there's kind of a play on words. So, and it's his romance with someone he meets that's set in Dallas, and he's mortal and she is not.
Ooh.
He's immortal. She is. Yeah. So, yeah, and that's a good one. And it's gotten really good reviews too. So I'm really happy about that. And that was the most recent one I released. But I'm a little burnt out on writing, and my podcast is now my new love. And I challenge myself all the time on who I can have on. And I'm so glad I met you, because I can't wait to have you on. I think you'll be fantastic. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Whether you like
busy lady, very busy lady.
Funny, as I started TikTok for my podcast and my books, right? You saw those. Well, I also love to decorate. I don't know if you could know this, but I decorate. I've always done it my entire life, being an adult. And so we have a 25-year-old house, and we have a formal living room, because every 25-year-old house has a formal living room. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at my old sofa, my old love seat, my coffee table, my end tables. And I was like, I would never come in here. We don't use this room unless I force myself to use this room. And finally I was like, no, I'm going to take everything out, give the furniture to the kids, because it's like brand new. It's 20-year-old furniture, looks brand new. And they loved it. So I was like, when? And I put 4 club chairs and a big round table that you can play cards on or something, just a low coffee table. I'm telling you, my TikTok blew up like you would not believe. And now, so if it confuses you and you find me on any social media and it first says home decor,
that's funny.
Why.
That's hilarious.
Well, I'm so Gemini's, we can't stay with one. I am not a one-trick pony, let me tell you. So there you go. That's me. And
well, thank you so much for sharing. I think that might be, it might be the end of our conversation this time around. But before we head out, excuse me, maybe share, where people can find you so that they can hear it. I'll put everything in the show notes, of course, but just let folks know where they can find you.
Of course. Okay. So if you just look up my name, literally just Leslie Fear, you're going to find my podcast. You'll find my TikTok. You'll find my Instagram, everything. just look up my name. But my podcast is Because I Want to Know, WANNA, no. And like you said, you'll put the links up. So if you just type in Leslie, you'll find me. I'm very easy to find. You'll find all my books, everything.
Fantastic. Well, Leslie, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I absolutely loved every minute of this, and for sure we'll have to have you come back because I'd love to hear more about, your podcast and where you go with it and all of those good things.
Well, thank you, avid listener. You've been so supportive and lovely, and I appreciate you very much. And like I said, I'd love to have you on my podcast. I think my listeners would love to hear what you've done. I think you're so interesting, and you've managed to get through a lot of things. So let's do some talking.
Yes, let's do that. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, viewers. Thank you for joining us for this episode. I really appreciate each and every one of you because I know time is valuable. So thank you for spending some time with us today. If you like the content, then please share, please let other people know, and please subscribe. Thank you so much. Over and out for this episode. Take it easy, be well, and much love for now. Bye.